I was there just a few months ago with my research team. We went all the way to the top and installed, as you can see here, an array of infrared cameras that monitors the entire sky above Vegas at all times. So you can see some of these images show the landscape of Vegas in the background. It's like a freckle, on top of the sphere, the exosphere,
right.
which is the biggest display on Earth,
Right.
But we measured that there is not much light pollution, actually, and we can operate this observatory. We also put an array of visible light cameras there, and it's operating, okay? And we hope to see a few million objects over the sky of Vegas and decide whether any of them has performance that deviates from the envelope of human-made technologies. How do we do that? We have the sphere as one point, but then we put two copies of that observatory 10 kilometers away on a triangle. And that allows us to look at objects in the sky from different directions, just like we have two eyes, so we can gauge the distance. So here we have three eyes looking at the sky above Vegas, and we can tell the distance, the velocity, the acceleration of objects, and ask whether they are lying within the performance envelopes of human-made objects. And that would be amazing. It's very exciting. I see that also as an opportunity to communicate to the public the excitement about science. That's what Jim Dolan and Jane Rosenthal really wanted to deliver. And I'm hoping that we will find something really anomalous, because as we know, the intelligence agencies are reporting to the U.S. Congress about objects they cannot identify. And, that could be two things. They're getting, the defense budget for 2026 is $1 trillion, okay? If they tell us that with $1 trillion, there are still objects they cannot identify above the U.S., they're not doing their job. They're not doing their job, and we should be worried. Who sent these objects? Could it be adversarial nations? Okay? That's one possibility which has to do with national security. The second possibility is that it's maybe something from outside of this Earth, which would be even more significant. So either way, we need to figure this out. And I don't think I'm wasting my time leading the Galileo project to figure out whether there are anomalies that go beyond human-made technologies, because if it turns out that all the objects are human-made, I will be happy to deliver the set of sensors we developed with the machine learning software that we developed to the Department of War so that they can employ it for national security purposes. So my time was not wasted as a scientist. I'm doing something useful to society.
Of course.
The Department of War can use it. Have no problem. Everything made by humans, by the way, is boring as far as I'm concerned. I want to see something from outside the solar system, which is not what the government should be about. The government should worry about national security, not about what lies outside the solar system. That's my job definition as an astrophysicist, okay? And so I feel that this is worthy pursuing, but the Galileo project is really the first organized project that constructed a reliable set of sensors in an observatory configuration that does systematic study of the sky to collect millions of objects in the sky per year. We have 3 observatories, one in Las Vegas, as I mentioned. And by the way, this is the first time it's mentioned publicly. So
that's amazing.
And another one in Massachusetts, and a third one in Pennsylvania. They were all funded by people who approached me and said, here is the money.
Let me ask you this. If it wasn't for those, how many observatories are looking for objects that are not from this Earth? Like, is that
None.
very rare? None?
Well, there are some teams that are, making a trip to collect some data. There is,
but there's not constant observation
of scientific quality data. No.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. That's what I'm saying.
That's crazy.
And by the way, I gave a briefing to the U.S. Congress on May 1st, 2025, and Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna was there, and she was very excited about the work we are doing. But the day before that, I visited an office in the Pentagon that is called the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. And I asked them, you looked into all these unidentified objects reported in the past by military personnel. Did anything trigger your attention as something truly anomalous? And they said, not really. There are some, there are some reports by FBI agents that saw really crazy stuff, but we don't have any data from instruments. And this is an office within the Pentagon, which is funded to figure out things. And so obviously what they might want to do is imitate the Galileo project that I'm leading. But you would think that it would be sort of the vested interest of government, to invest in research related to that, which is what the Galileo project is doing.
Well, here's the thing. I would have thought it was already done.
I don't know.
Like, until we're having this conversation, I can't believe that they're not monitoring the sky constantly for anomalous objects.
Well, you remember the Chinese spy balloon that was missed, right, and shut down?
Yeah, but that was silly.
So the thing to keep in mind, they're getting data on things in the sky. But if you don't have the right software now with AI,
right.
If you don't have high-quality scientists the way that the Manhattan Project employed, you might not figure out things. There is a reason why the Manhattan Project recruited the very best scientists. So I say, put $1 billion on this or more, bring in the best scientists in the world to figure it out. I'm funded at the level of millions of dollars through the Galileo project. The government can do what is $1 billion? It's a drop in the bucket for the Pentagon. But if, you should think about the potential risk from drones that are used by adversarial nations, and you want to have the very best sensors using the very best
of course.
AI
I just can't
algorithm.
believe that that's not already being done. That's
Again,
what's so confusing.
Well,
I would have thought that there was some sort of very sophisticated monitoring of the skies already.
Well, that's...
Especially when you take in all these anecdotal stories, all these different stories of people spotting some sort of a ship, something right. that moves in a very strange way. I would think that they're monitoring this stuff all the time, and not just with radar.
You see, there is an approach which is to wait for the government to figure out things or to declassify them. So a lot of people want the government to declassify. I think it's just like waiting for Godot.
Huh.
You can wait forever.
Right.
And it will never happen. So I say, we don't need the government to tell us what is up there in the sky, because astronomy is all about that. We can build observatories, look at the sky. Anything that is human-made is not of interest to me. It's boring. I don't care. I just want to see if there is anything that...
Well, it's boring up to a point. If China has something that moves at, Mach 30 and can go underwater, things get very interesting.
So my methodology should definitely be used by the Department of War to figure out risks of the nature that you mentioned. And by the way, speaking about my colleagues, so there are people who said, you're doing it to win the Nobel Prize. Like that's what or you're trying to sell books. I don't charge a penny for my essays on Medium.com. Money is not at all what motivates me. With respect to the Nobel Committee, I have the same attitude as Jean-Paul Sartre had and Bob Dylan had. If I find evidence for alien intelligence, alien technology, I would not waste my time in a tuxedo in Stockholm. I will try to figure it out. That's much more important than an award given by a human to a human. We're dealing with something really consequential.
Yeah.
And for the scientific community to ignore that is irresponsible. Why is it irresponsible? Because it could affect the future of humanity.
Well, I think the problem with the scientific community is the problem with all communities. They're overrun with ego.
I agree.